Will Blackmon, 12 years in the league, a Super Bowl with the Giants. You know, I'm watching Carolina last night. They're awful. You mostly played. You had the Giants, Packers. You played with very formidable organizations most of your career, but you did spend time with Jacksonville. What is it like playing and working for a really bad team? Is it depressing?
Yeah, it's funny because you asked me, you said, have you been on a really bad team? I was like, yeah, the worst team I've been on was Jacksonville in 2013. And it was such a unique situation because Shah Khan just bought the team. So you had a new owner, you had a new general manager, you had a new head coach in Gus Bradley, you had new uniform, new stadium, new locker rooms, new training rooms. Everything was brand new at that place. And it was really tough because they really had to start from scratch. And I think at the time they drafted Blaine Gabbert, I think, first, and then eventually end up having Bortles. So still trying to figure out that quarterback position, right? And then we just didn't have we had zero star power on our team. I was in the secondary. I got signed after I left Seattle's training camp, and the whole secondary.
How do you stay motivated?
Well, me, I'm just psychotic. I just love football.
Right.
I love football. But I will say this. This is where I gave a lot of respect to Gus Bradley because it was challenging. And he came in every single day, like sticking to the script, super excited, motivating, never wavered, what have you, despite we started the season 0-8. And that was in Jacksonville.
Let me ask you, Bryce Young last night, we have video.
Yeah.
The defining trait of a star quarterback, not a franchise quarterback, a star, is the ability to overcome. Bad O-line, average coordinator. Is it fair when I look at Bryce Young? C.J. Stroud appears to be an overcomer. Bryce isn't. Can be a franchise quarterback. He's not an overcomer. He's not big enough, strong enough, gifted enough to be an overcomer. Bryce Young, C.J. Stroud, 4 backup O-linemen, first-time play caller. Week 1, Ravens, making throws. Is it fair? I'm not calling him a bust, but Bryce has. Yeah, he's not an overcomer.
I wouldn't even bring that word bust up at all. I would say qualities I like are 2 things. Like, how are you able to handle just adversity in general, right? Like, that's a big deal for me if I'm evaluating a quarterback. And then, if you're looking for the star part, how can you overcome it despite whatever's going on around you?
Because there's always obstacles.
There's always stuff going around. If you're able to overcome it and not let it affect you, that's one thing. But 2, like 2 different cultures, like what's going on in Carolina, what's going on in Houston. I just, not even being there, I just know it's different cultures.
Right.
And watching a lot of C.J. Stroud's interviews, he really, you can tell that he and Bobby Slowick have a instant automatic communication because he talks about a lot of things that a lot of freedom that C.J. has, he talks about he has, and that things that he'll recommend and they'll allow him to do. And right now it looks like, Bobby Slowick is calling plays that go right into his wheelhouse, what he likes to do.
Yeah, and that matters.
And plus in D'Amico, just the consensus of how he is as a culture, as a leader.
The Niners knew he was a rocket ship.
No question.
So the Bills were having a players-only meeting. Did you ever have a players-only meeting anywhere?
I had a players-only meeting on every team that I played for.
Is there any time they made a difference? It always feels like the coach is gone once you go there.
Yeah, I think when I was on the Giants in 2011, I think we had about 6 player-only meetings.
Because Coughlin was so rough?
No. So this is what Coach Coughlin did. He did really well. He had his own leadership committee.
Yeah.
So he met with 6 guys or whatever it was. And pretty much, if there was issues in the locker room, you guys handle it. Now, if the problem's too big, you come to me. We'll keep having check-ins here and there. And I think we had, because I think the intro role and Deion Grant, there was always something wrong. But I love the player meetings because it's always let's get stuff out. I know we're going to touch on Coach McCarthy soon, but he was big on saying conflict is good, because it allows everyone to be honest and figure out what's going on.
Do you talk about personal stuff, play calling schemes?
We talk about just trying to have everyone be on the same page culture-wise, because what happens is when a lot is going on, when things aren't right, there's probably a lot of finger pointing. There's probably a lot of isolation.
Right.
You know, different position groups that hang out with each other. Hey, let's just take care of our side. Let's take care of our side versus like, let's take care of it as a team. And usually what these player-owned meetings are like, let's get back to what we are, especially like with Buffalo. Like the past like 4 years, they've been picked to go deep in the playoffs or even the Super Bowl. And they're sitting at what, 5-4 right now, I believe it is. It's like, you know, we're not who we are right now.
I want our staff to show, because all I cared about last night, the only standings I care about is the draft board.
Yep.
So Chicago's got 3 wins, and if their schedule, they've got too many games they can win. Justin Field comes back. They're going to win a game or 2. They're going to end up with 4 or 5 games. I won't give them 6. They're not going to get one of the top 2 to 3 quarterbacks. They have to have Carolina lose, and their schedule's got a lot of home games against Atlanta, Tampa. Here's the interesting one. Let's say Arizona ends up at number 2. Mm-hmm. I don't think they will. I think Kyler's too gifted. They'll win games. I would argue everybody here on this draft order
needs a quarterback.
Yeah, they'd all draft it. Even Sean Payton. They would all draft it. But the one I have pause with is Kyler Murray. Because he took a franchise. We don't like the owner. Front office wasn't great. The coach got fired. Niners, Seahawks, Rams in the division. He got them to the playoffs. I don't want to hear anybody's recency bias. That
overcome, right?
Oh, there's no question. Kyler Murray's
yeah.
an absolute overcomer. Huge talent. We've all forget. We do this with Joe Burrow. He doesn't play well in September. We forget how great he was 6 months earlier. Joe Burrow's unbelievable. Would you, if Kyler Murray, you had Arizona 1 or 2, would you keep Kyler or go with the college guys? Because I think it's tougher than people make it out to. I know Kyler has the rare quality to overcome. I don't know if Drake May has that.
Right.
What would you do? You want to be in the front office?
No doubt.
General manager, you have the number 2 pick. Would you get Drake May, restart the clock on the quarterback?
Absolutely not. I'm sticking with Kyler. And because with Kyler Murray, he has the history, and this is what I was going to mention with Bryce Young too. They have a winning history, right? Like they've won
high school, college,
they've
pros.
won everywhere they were. And with Kyler, despite, yes, he may have a strong personality, he may have certain things, but I feel like, okay, just having him in the building and knowing him, I'm not too concerned. But what he does have, like he does have the ability to overcome. He does have that clutch gene. Like,
there's no question.
He could have a terrible game, but then those last 5 minutes, he might give you some action. You know what I'm saying?
Pete Carroll, McVay, and Shanahan are 3 of the top 7 coaches in the league. He got to the playoffs with Cliff Kingsbury. Don't tell me he's not a good quarterback. I don't want to hear it.
You said that. I didn't say it.
No, and I got nothing against Cliff, but the dude got to the playoffs in that division. Give me a break. That is an absolute over. Now, I know you're rolling your eyes, but my take is the number 1 trait of a franchise quarterback is the ability to overcome. Even Brady, outside of the Mosh years, he didn't have a dominant receiver. I mean, Brady had stuff to overcome. Belichick, rigidity, McDaniels, he had stuff to overcome. All right, so I'm going to ask, you know the Cowboys. So Will wants to be in the front office. I would hire him tomorrow. I'd keep a close eye on some of your craziness with your picks, but I'd hire you tomorrow.
Hey, you got to be crazy, right? You got to be mad some way, right?
But Dallas is interesting. So they're great at home as a favorite. They match up with teams.
Yeah, they won 12 straight at home, right?
No, they're great. But situationally, they drive me crazy.
Give me an example.
And the Philadelphia, last 2 drives. They don't have any urgency in the second to last drive. And then on the last drive, what are you doing here? What are you throwing before the goal line? You know that's not going to work. Get over the line. Philadelphia lined up 5 defensive backs to pounce on CeeDee Lamb. Little things. The 17 seconds Dak running, sliding against the Niners. What are we doing here? Come on, what are we doing? I don't like them situationally. You were there with this team, this camp.
From May to September, I was there for a long time.
Any warnings, what did you love about it, and what would you do differently?
For the offense?
Just the team. What did you watch? What culture? It's an aggressive culture defensively, for sure. Did you like that part of it? No,
I do. Like that, especially with Dan Quinn, like I love the fact that his defense allows everyone to make plays. You know, if you're a pass rusher, there's ways you're going to get highlighted to pass rush really well. If you're a corner, you're going to be in situations where you can make a play on the ball, you know. And as a safety, you're able to survey and you're going to be in the box to make plays. Also, if you have the range, to go silent the sideline, like you're going to be able to make plays there. So I too like the aggressive thing there. And offensively, the O-line really, especially when Zach came back, Zach Martin, that was huge because that group is obviously the meat and potatoes of the offense. And the thing that was looking to see get elevated was, okay, the receiver group, especially the emergence of CeeDee Lamb. Like, my biggest thing for CeeDee watching him prior was like, yes, he has the acrobatics like an OBJ. He has all that stuff. And I said he just needs to get stronger and truly show that he can be like the every down X. And to watch him in practice, like not just practice, but him training, like he took everything seriously. And I think the acquisition of Brandon Cooks helped because there's not a more professional guy I've been around than Brandon Cooks, like what he brought to that team. Him and Gilmore, both true professionals. So, but yeah, in terms of strategic, like Mike always had a just a balanced offense. He's like, look, I want to try to have long drives and keep my defense fresh. So when they come in, they can just pin their ears back and go after the team as well too. So I get it. What people, they just want fly downfield, put up 50 points if they
That's not
can.
who Mike is.
Yeah, and he's like, look, we're gonna be efficient and we're gonna go win games. And something Mike does well, he does well winning games. His percentage is one of the highest right now. And I'm not mad at that. I don't mind the balanced offense, and then you have a defense that can go out there and get it done. So, but the hard thing is too is sometimes if you are able to calm down a balanced offense and they're not hitting explosives, now it's like, okay, we got to now get in our other duffel bag of explosive plays. So that's the part where it could backfire. I can see that.
Yeah. All right, finally, Deion Sanders.
Yes.
He says, I'm not built for the NFL.
He said he's not built for the NFL.
Is he?
I think he would do fine because he won't have to do so much mentoring. I think him, especially I've known Deion since I've been in the NFL. We had the same agent. He trained me before the combine. I did all his youth camps when he was coaching high school and stuff like that. So I have a really cool relationship with Deion. And just from him coaching high school or even Pop Warner, having his camps, having Prime U, like he was all about like the mentorship part. So when you are a college coach, you are getting, as a parent, they're giving you their child to help them continue to develop and grow and be an outstanding young man. And I feel like to the NFL, if he got to the NFL, that part wouldn't have to be so much that. He'll just be there trying to build a culture. And now with the NFL being extremely young, I think that him building that culture would be more suited, because I think
Would he listen to an owner who was impulsive?
It would have to be a good situation, though. He wouldn't go to a place where him and the owner are going to be.
Yeah, I mean, by the way, I think owners have gotten richer. Coaches' salaries are rounding errors. I think owners have never been I don't remember a time when I thought owners were crazier in the NFL.
Right.
Because they have so much money now. It's one thing if you're worth $600 million. You don't want to write a $44 million check to get rid of a coach. When I'm worth $2.9 billion, the poorest owner in the NFL is worth $1 billion. That's, I think, Mike Brown of the Bengals.
Yeah.
Packers don't have an owner. The average owner's worth $7 billion. $40 million to get another coach is a rounding error. You make that on the market, your company in a day.
Right. And I think, too, like being a head coach, sure, you hire someone who's probably a really good coordinator or have you, but people forget that person also has to be a CEO. And so that's why it is important when you become a head coach, like who do you hire? Like, who do you bring on as your staff? So I think Deion, depending on who he brought with him to coach, I think he would be a really good CEO, as a head coach.
Like he's proven that at college.
Yeah, like me, if I were to be a head coach, I'm gonna make sure I bring some ammo in terms of like who's coaching, because I think overall I'd be good at like managing like a whole team. But like for me to like actually sit there and be the one calling plays and have to manage, like that would be tough.
Hi, everybody. Thanks for watching. Subscribe here to get the latest from the show. Also, be sure to check out more of the best clips from The Herd or go watch a few segments from other shows on FS1.